So this is the winter stockpile grazing field that I had for the cows back in January of 23. And you can see there's a lot of manure deposits on the ground. And you can see the grass is starting to green a little. This had a lot of broom sedge in it. And I fed it pretty heavily with some hay, especially this end. I put out some in some bale rings. We'd gone on a couple of short trips, and so I put out hay for them. I rolled it out, put it in a bale ring, and that held them over for about 4 days, 5 days, something like that, if I remember right. But anyway, I wanted to do this overview of this paddock, actually pasture. It's about 6 acres in here. And just kind of give you a view of what we've left behind. And you can see we've got quite a bit of manure patties laying on the ground, especially this end where we fed them. And it's actually looking pretty good as far as the distribution. They left a little bit of hay up there that I rolled out, and there's a spot back over there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now that's where I had a mineral feeder, or a mineral block rather, and they pugged that up pretty good. So I went in there and overseeded it and put some straw down. And I kind of did the same thing right here. Pugged it up pretty good. I'll probably end up going in there and overseeding it at the minimum. There's the lake, the paddock at the lake. Spring growth hasn't really taken off yet. I was walking through a small hayfield this morning. I threw out some clover seed in there. Cows are down there. I got another 2 weeks there, but I noticed there was some clover coming up. It's just starting to come up out of the ground. Kind of looking through here, see if I see any clover. And so far, it doesn't seem to be popping out at me. Give you a look here at the ground. You can kind of see what's going on there. See some weeds of some type. Anyway, we'll see what this looks like come next winter. I don't know if I'm going to use this for winter stockpile or not. I may pick a different location. I've got these 4-acre paddocks set up, so I may take a couple of those and let them winter stockpile, and let this one, let them graze it all the way until fall. So we'll see. Well, it's been raining since about 6 o'clock last night. A slow, steady rain. And you can see down here in the bottom, and let me zoom in so you can see it. We have some flooding, surface flooding going on. Standing water in different places. Good soaking rain. We needed one of those. There's our rain gauge. Let me zoom in on it. And Let's see just how much rain we actually got. Looks like 2 inches, maybe a little more. So we have deer down in the bottom today. And I'll see if I can zoom down there. And maybe you can see them. If you look very closely, there's, half a dozen of them. Diane said there were 12 at one time. I don't have a care in the world, though. Okay, so I fed the cows some hay this morning, about 1/3 of a bale. I didn't feed them yesterday. It was too wet to get out, and to be honest with you, it's still wet in this field. You can see the tracks from the tractor, and this is in dry areas. If you get out there towards that flat where there's a lot of runoff from this hill, it's really wet in there. So I hate to get out there, but I needed to feed the cows. I guess I could have just dumped that over the fence and let them eat it in one spot, but I need to also put some fertility out there on that field. That's our hayfield. And this little pond right here, see how much water is in it? That was bone dry 2 days ago. So that 1.7 of rain that we got yesterday from about midnight, well, a little before midnight, probably about 7, 8 o'clock the night before. It was a slow, steady rain, and it put a lot of water in that pond. Here's the girls. Everybody looking pretty good. Doesn't look like anybody's really that hungry. But they do like to get some fresh grass, don't we? $21.11 right there. She was born in March of last year. And she is not one of the bigger heifers. She's not the smallest one, but she's not the biggest either. 2111 is the great-granddaughter of the number 2 cow, and number 2 is one of our biggest original cows. So I would say that the genetics between Pokey and Buster is bringing the size of these cows down, because I don't have any big cows anymore. Even the second generation cows are not as big as the first generation cows that I have. So it's all about genetics, isn't it? Right, girls? It's good to see you this morning. Yeah. So 411 right there, she is a 3rd generation cow out of the number 4 cow, which number 4 is still in the herd. And how are you, 2211? You happy to see me? Now 2211, and I believe it was number 51 if I remember right. They were born on the same morning. 21-2. That's a number 21 calf. So that is a third generation out of number 2. And you can see she is, born in 21. So she's 2 years old this year. And she's got a nice looking body. Legs are a little long, but so was her grandmother and mother. And there's the 2111 cow again. Okay, girls, I'll leave you to it, and you all have a great day. So this is the far end of the pasture that I wintered the cows in for the month of January. It was where the winter stockpile was. And you can see there's a lot of manure in here. Let me zoom in a little bit. And I intentionally fed them, I think, 3 bales over here in this corner. And basically the reason I did that is there was a lot of broom sedge in that area. So, and you can see right over here, there is still quite a bit of broom sedge, at least the dead stem standing right here. And now we rolled out a bale of hay here for them, or a half a bale rather. And then this paddock, I skipped. I didn't roll out any hay. I actually intentionally didn't put any in this one. And I did not put any in this one. Now this is 7B, and this is 7C. I want to see what happens when I don't put any fertility on it. So they've only been in here to graze grass. And then this is paddock 7A, and we rolled out hay in here, and you can see this spot that I rolled out. And if you look at it all the way down through there, now this is one side of it, this is the other side of it, but if you look right here where I rolled that bale out, the grass is growing, and it is greener than the grass on either side of it. Now, I don't know if that's because the hay brings out that grass that's growing more, or if there's actually something going on nutritionally there that the grass is responding to. But it's interesting to note. So this is the other stock pond, which I've showed you a couple of times in videos. It was froze over. It was almost dry there last summer. I should have got in there and cleaned out the mud that was in the bottom of it. But I didn't. But as you can see, it is pretty much filled up. Doesn't look like it has actually went out the spillway down here. And one of these days I'm going to kind of rework this corner of the pond bank and kind of turn it this way, and then I'm going to put a pipe, probably 6-inch PVC pipe in there. A 20-footer ought to get me from the edge of the dam to the other side of this lane between the gate, or where the gate's at. And then I'm going to elevate that slightly, get that dip out of there. I'll put some rock in there. And then this thing can get a little bit deeper, hold a little bit more water. And I will probably end up putting an approach for watering the cattle. I don't know exactly where I'm going to do that yet. But I do need to give them access to this to get some water. It'll be a good watering point for them, but I don't want them tearing the ground up. And it's kind of hard to figure out where I'm going to do that. I may end up just putting a water line in here and putting a stock tank. It doesn't have to be an elaborate one. Maybe I can just use a plastic stock tank, use it in the summertime. So anyway, I'm going to run over here and take a look at this area that I've tore up with the tractor feeding during the winter. This is one of the downfalls of using a big heavy tractor to feed with. It's convenient when it's snowing and freezing outside, but when it gets wet, which it did do during the late winter, it just literally left ruts in here. And then I took the tiller, went through here with the tiller, roughed up the ground, threw some seed in here. I don't see anything springing up yet. That's probably to be expected since we've had some cooler weather. But you can see the grass is kind of greening up in some areas. We got some down there. This is a spot where we had a bale one year, and actually I didn't set it there. The cows rolled it down there and then tore it all up, tore the ground all up because it's a wet spot. And again, this is still kind of fluffy, so hopefully the seed is kind of washed in the pockets of the ground and covered pretty good. There's a big old rock I got up. Yeah, we grow rocks here, that's for sure. It's the Ozarks. And I really don't see too much grass sprouting up yet. The only thing I see out there is probably sprigs of grass that was already there, and I just kind of roughed it up and they're still surviving. But this is where we wintered them. And you can see out there, the grass is starting to green. It's got a green hint showing. So it won't be too much longer and the grass will start growing. I sure hope so. Today is the 4th of March, and I'm hoping to start moving them through rotation around the 16th. So what is that, 12 days from now? I don't know. I may have to hold them off. If I do, it's going to be over in paddock 1. I'll probably pull wires down from 1A to 1B to 1C and give them one big paddock. That'll be 2.5 acres. It's got a pond in there, so I won't have to water them, and I'll just feed them hay in there. It can help fertilize that field some more. I've used it for that several times, and it's actually got some of the better grass up there on top. The lower side's a little bit thin. Of course, I don't feed too much hay on that lower side because it's so close to the pond. So I don't want the manure washing off into the pond and destroying the water that's in the pond. So this is where we had that mineral block out. And I tilled it, seeded it, put some straw down on it. Not a terrible amount, just something to kind of help hold the soil in place. And the lake, it got some water in it too, it looks like. Here's the dock down there. Probably up about a foot. And I still got to get these willows. I'd like to take the tractor down there now and do it, but as wet as it is, it'll tear things up. So maybe we'll get some dry weather here pretty soon. Well, that's all I'm going to do for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And you'll have a great weekend and a blessed week coming ahead. Thank you for watching.